Hi everybody, it's Carol from Carol's Vintage Treasures. A little motivational blog today, or vlog, uh, on why I am a survivor. Uh, I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. It's hard to talk about, it's hard to say, but somehow I feel like today's the day and somebody out there needs to hear this. A little bit about my background. Grew up in California. My dad left when I was 5, left me with a crazy bipolar mother. She was verbally and physically abusive. Um, I grew up with her on welfare, latchkey kid. Um, a lot of my childhood I don't really remember. I guess I kind of blocked it out. I do remember changing schools a lot, and I remember that we seemed to move a lot when we couldn't pay our rent. So, um, grew up in poverty pretty much with a poverty mentality. That still hurts me today. I still try not to do that, but I still end up doing it to some extent. I'm sorry, I have Holly here to keep me company. She's my therapy dog. I don't know how long this will last, but we'll see. Um, when I was 11, no, 10, when I was 10, we moved to Arizona. My dad, I really think he pretended to get back together with my mom to move her farther away because he was here probably less than a year before he moved back. He said he couldn't stand the hot weather, he couldn't stand it here, he had to go back, and things weren't working out with my mom. I remember she went after him with a butcher knife that night. He left, but gratefully he escaped it. I always grew up thinking my dad was a good guy because having grown up with her, constant nagging and constant craziness, I understand why he had to leave, and I understand why he drank a lot. He was an alcoholic. He hung out in the little dive bars a lot. So, this is hard. I felt like I needed to do it because maybe somebody out there needed to hear this too. When I was 11, my mom finally, first time since I had seen her, been with her, got a job working in a little dinky market in South Phoenix. It's not a very good part of town. It got robbed a lot, and she fell in love with the owner, who was not a good man at all. He moved us into his house and my sister and brother. First thing he did was work on getting my sister and brother out of the house, saying they were too old to be living with mom. And they were in their 20s. They should have been out a long time ago, but, there were other reasons he wanted them not around. So I was, this is the hard part, I was sexually abused from the age of 11 to the age of 17. He told me he knew people in Chicago that could make my whole family disappear. And if I ever said anything, it would happen. He also carried a gun around, and I was deathly afraid of that gun. So fear. Fear made me be quiet. Fear made me not talk to anyone. Fear made me not even go to sleepovers because I was afraid I would talk in my sleep. When I was 15, I became pregnant. with his child. I never thought of it as his child. It was my daughter. She was mine. She is my sweet girl. I love her. She's in my life for a reason. I have two wonderful grandchildren with her. She's got a wonderful husband. Uh, but I had to hide the fact that she was his. I said it was a boy from school that moved away, and I don't know how to get in touch with him. My dad actually figured it out. He said it was his child, and he was right, but I had to protect everyone by writing him a letter saying, how could you say that? He's been more of a dad to me than you ever have, and a bunch of really hurtful stuff to make him back down. So I did that. Regret it to this day. I really hurt my dad. But he did find out the truth when I was an adult. So got pregnant a second time at 17, had a miscarriage. When I turned 18, I was working, but I was relying on him to take me to and from work. When I got my first tax return, I bought a car for $500. It was an old rust bucket, but it ran. I took him out to that car and I said, do you see that car right there? That means I don't need you around here anymore, and you need to disappear. And if you don't, I'm going to go to the police. And my proof is right there in that apartment. So he did disappear for a while until my daughter was about 5, and he started watching her walking to school in the morning. We lived right by the school, so she would walk there in the morning. And called my mom and asked her if he could buy her a computer since she was starting school. Well, I talked to him and I said, we don't need your computer and we don't need you in our lives. And this is your final warning. If you do not disappear, I'm going to go to the police. And from that time, I never heard from him again. So I went on raising my daughter. I was working in retail and going to school at night. Then I got a better job at a hospital and started working there graveyard shift. There's a lion in this. I don't know what's going on. I hope it's not coming out on camera. I guess it doesn't matter. I get distracted so easily. So, when I started working at the hospital, there was a guy there that went out with my sister. He was really too young for her. Too young for her. My sister's 13 years older than me, and he was my age. So my sister said, he's too young for me, but he'd be perfect for you. So he and I started dating and ended up getting married. After 3 months, big mistake, we moved out of state with his job, and that's when my emotional abuse started with him. He liked to brag at the fact that he never hit a woman, but he sure knew how to beat him up from the inside with his words. I was with him for 11 years. It was horrible. I got to a point where I was eating myself to death. I got up to about 270, and on my small frame, that was incredibly obese and taking a toll on my body. Thank God for the woman that came into our lives and took him from me. I probably would have stayed with him until I died, and the kids would have been motherless. We had 3 kids together, plus my daughter. So when he left, we got a divorce, and I ended up trying to live life as a single mom. I dated a little bit, but not very much. I didn't want to bring anyone into our lives. Um, Especially with what I'd been through as a child, I didn't want my daughters to go through that. So I focused on my kids. I focused on my business. I had a pooper scooper business then. Um, I did that for 10 years. And I don't know, I guess that brings me to today. I have a lot of, what do you call it, residual effects from that. Um, I have a lot of things that I have a lot of anxiety. When I'm around people, I get anxious. When I'm under stress, I get anxious. Um, I had one doctor tell me I had, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it now. See, that's another thing that happens. My memory just goes, um, can't think of the name of it. I'm sorry. It's it's what the soldiers go through when they come back from war. I'll think of it later, but I'm sorry. um, she told me I even had Stockholm syndrome from being his kind of captor for a while. I guess the reason I'm telling you this is because I feel like maybe there's somebody out there that needs to hear it. There might be somebody out there that's going through a similar thing and they're afraid to say anything or speak up. The only thing I can say to you is tell someone, because I wish I'd had a when I was a kid. There were plenty of times I probably could have told a teacher or even my brother and sister or my dad. My mom had a horrible temper, and one of my biggest fears was that she would actually kill him, and I'd be shipped off somewhere to a orphanage or something. I didn't know what was going on in my head, but I let fear rule my life for a long time, and I think I still do that kind of. Going back to the reselling aspect of it, I think I'm afraid to do certain things. I'm afraid to list certain things because I don't know a lot about it, or, you know, I don't know what goes on in my mind, but it sits in the death pile and it never gets listed. So I think some of that residual stuff still happens to me. The only thing I could tell you is I try to live life right now not to be so afraid. Um, I think a lot of times in my past I was afraid of success. I was afraid of, overcoming this poverty state. I don't know why that is, but I'm trying to work on myself and get out of the fear aspect of my life, not be so afraid. Um, Getting onto YouTube was a really big step for me because I'm a very shy person. I have been all my life. And just getting on here and talking to people is hard for me. But I felt like it was something I had to overcome. So the only thing I can say to you guys is don't be so afraid of life. Don't be afraid of doing things. I guess I used to be kind of a worst scenario person or a what if person. What if this happens if I try that? What if that happens? But the truth is, what if you don't do it? What if you don't try it? You're still stuck where you are. So, number one, never let anybody verbally abuse you, because it will tear you down inside. You have to take the time to build yourself back up, to tell yourself that you're not ugly, you're not fat, you're not, whatever the thing is they're trying to tell you you are. Sit down and make a list of what you are good at. I'm a good mom. I'm a good provider. I'm good at art things. Whatever it is you're good at, make a list of that and look at it every day and tell yourself you're a good person. You are none of those things that those horrible, awful people told you you were. And this is going to be a long video. I think I better end it here. Anyway, excuse me, residue of my COVID that I had a couple weeks ago. So I guess I'm here to tell you, excuse me, I'm so sorry. If you're being verbally or sexually abused, tell someone. Get help. There is help out there. You can turn to somebody. And don't think of the worst thing that can happen. Think of the best thing that can happen. You can get out of that situation and you can get on with your life. If you have kids, think of your kids. You don't want your kids growing up in that atmosphere. My kids are adults today and they still have problems. My youngest daughter was a drug addict. Thank God she pulled herself out of that, and she's been sober now for about 6 years. Thank God she didn't die. It was a 10-year battle with her. So kids still feel all the effects of that. But I guess you just have to kind of tell yourself, that happened. It's horrible that it happened, but I'm going to not let that person win, and I'm going to get on with my life, and I'm going to have a good life. So that's all I have today. That was a hard video. I hope I didn't bring you guys down. It really was my intention to motivate you, and I don't know. If you have anything to say, you can comment down below. You can email me at carolsvintagetreasures@gmail.com. If you don't want it in the comments, let me know what you thought, or if you're in a similar situation and you want to get out of it. Just talk to somebody. Just don't let fear paralyze you. Don't let the worst scenario come into your brain. You can do it. You can get out of that situation. I did, kind of by force, because he left me. But that was the best day of my life. Honest to God. Because I got my life back. I got myself back. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. You guys take care of yourselves. I'm here for you if you need me. If you want to comment or email me, please feel free. Take care, and I'll talk to you later.